John Lowrey, I mean, would that be your interpretation of the impact of the credit crisis? That, the regulators there needs to be a bit more governance?
I don't know about more governance. There will be, and I think that is true. I think if we've learned anything fundamentally from this crisis is that we have a system. Surinder said it was sort of spaghetti string, but effectively we have a massive infrastructure built around bilateral agreements and enforceability of bilateral agreements, margin paid on bilateral agreements. I said before, sort of the thing that we're most focused on is collateral management, and there's going to have to be some sort of market solution that comes out of this. It probably will be a utility, an independent utility. I would agree with you that a commercial bank solving that problem is extremely unlikely. The CCPs are going to be extremely busy. The meta providers of payment services and stuff are going to be extremely busy. But this is going to be a very big global issue and something that has to be focused on.
Elliot, do you want to come in on that? You're launching in the middle of a crisis.
Well, I don't think the credit crisis materially impacts the viability of a new equity trading platform. But I think on a slight tangent to your question, but continuing on what John was saying, the other thing that one learns from the credit crisis, I think indisputably, is that some degree of transparency is better than no degree of transparency. And what you have in, I said before that something like 40% of equity trading doesn't happen in order books, and we've been talking about dark pools and the opacity of them. There's still a great deal more transparency in the equity markets, vastly more than in large parts of the fixed income world, and you already see the regulators talking about some nice things that can be gleaned from the equity world in terms of how fixed income transacts. And I think that kind of transparency would be good for liquidity, would be good for price discovery, and we could all expect to see more of it. In fact, I'm encouraging Chi-X to devote all of their resources on developing a marketplace for CDOs, starting right away.
I find it extraordinary that we have what is such a fundamental change in the equity market at the same time as the fixed income market's going through a cardiac arrest, and you've got this extraordinary innovation happening, and even in the very tight budgets that everyone has within their large banks and small banks, they're still devoting the resources to push this equity market and get on board the innovation. So I think this really is a fundamental change, and I agree with Eli. It's not, the credit crunch doesn't seem to be stopping it. In some ways it's forcing innovation more. People are looking for the last dollar. How do they save? How do they get their clients service? How do they capture that extra bit of revenue?
There is a huge amount of activity now in the sort of credit default swap area, for example. So it's a lot of industry ideas. There are very well published plans to bring processing and clearing to OTC markets like that. We clearly play a role in that OTC space. We have a swap clear, which is very successful, and something that the banks as clients and the regulators as well are really paying a lot of attention to at the moment. So I actually believe that while probably equities is grabbing the headline, there's in fact a huge amount of work in other asset classes these days. Energy and commodity space is growing dramatically, and that's where, quite frankly, our role as a CCP that can deal with different asset classes can really help clients maximize the sort of the capital.
David, let's give the last word to you. How do you see things progressing in the next 6 months to a year?
6 months to a year. I hope we see MiFID produce the market growth that everyone wanted when they went through the 18-month compliance exercise. So I think people are looking to the new entrants. We've got at least 3 new venues coming live in the next 2 to 3 months. And if we can work as an industry to deal with best execution, transparency issues that are currently in the markets, and pull that business from the outskirts that isn't being shown to the public markets right now, I think we see a good prospect for equities.
Okay, I think that's a great note on which to end. Thank you all for participating. I think I've got you in just about on time.